Here's the number one reason your product, program, course, or membership probably isn't selling. Hey there, I'm Jillian Kendrick, and welcome to the Momentum Marketing Podcast. I'm a mama, a wife, an entrepreneur, and a 3-time best-selling co-author. In each episode, you'll get real-world, practical advice and strategies, and maybe a parenting tip or two along the way. If you're ready to create a business that supports your family and your lifestyle, then you're in the right place. Hello, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you today. And we are talking about the one thing I believe is making your product or program, your service offering, your mastermind, your membership, whatever you're selling. This is what I believe is the one thing that I see causing those not to work or causing them not to sell. And we're going to get into that in just a minute. If you haven't watched my latest training, how I get over 600 leads every single month consistently, go ahead to jilliankendrick.com/webinar and you can watch it right there. Sign up for the training. It's so good. And honestly, it's only like 40 minutes long. It's really not that long at all. It's not going to take you all day. It's not going to take you forever to watch it. And it's so good. So go ahead and check it out. I lay down everything that I know about lead generation, and it's so good. But on the table for today, we are talking about why your product, program, service offering, membership, mastermind, your course, whatever it is, whatever you're selling, here's why it's not selling. Here's why it's confusing. Here's why nobody wants it yet. As business owners, as creatives, and as professionals in the world, it's our tendency to give. It's our tendency to deliver and over-deliver and share and have an abundance mindset and want other people to succeed. When you're an entrepreneur, you're the visionary. You can see so many things that other people cannot see. You can see 10 miles ahead down the road when other people can only see the brick wall right in front of them. You are so unique and so gifted, and you can see stuff because you are the visionary that other people just can't see. It's like living in a world where you have 20/20 vision and everybody else is walking around with blurry vision. It's kind of like that. And what happens, especially when it comes to not only freebies or lead magnets and doing things on social media, but especially when it comes to our paid products, the tendency is that more is more. The tendency is to over-deliver. The tendency is to share because we're the visionaries, because we see 10 miles down the road, because we can see the holistic vision of how somebody's business could go. And that's really hard for a person with a problem who cannot see past their problem. All they see is, I have this brick wall right in front of me, up to my nose, staring me in the face, and I can't look past it until that thing is gone. So the problem that I see with most products or service offerings, most info products, courses, memberships, is that they're giving too much away. You're trying to sell too much. And what you need to be doing is just giving them the next step. Just get them from A to B, or from B to C, or from C to D. Just get them over that next hump. That's it. That's all you have to do. When it comes to solving problems, less will always be more, especially when you do info products, especially when you're trying to sell memberships and courses and things that aren't necessarily really tangible. The tendency and the desire is, I want to show that this is valuable. I want to show that it's important. I want to show that they're getting something for exchanging their dollar. But the reality is, when you're solving problems, when you're leading people to solutions and you're providing value, they will already see the value in just solving their problem. You don't have to bulk it up to make it look better or make it feel better or make yourself feel like it's actually worthwhile. When you're solving problems, when you're doing the work, when you are coming from a place of service and you are leading with that in your sales, the value will already be there. You don't have to add on and add on and add on to it. Now, there are techniques where you would want to add on. Maybe you would want to throw in a couple of bonuses. There are different things like that. And I talk about that in my List Builder Blueprint course. I talk about that in my Automation Momentum course. I talk about that with our mastermind students. There are other facets to it. But when it just comes to selling something, if you are solving problems, if you are getting someone from where they are to where they want to be, if you are overcoming that problem for them, you're already providing value. You don't have to bulk it up and include all of these things and do all the stuff and show all the pictures in order to make it valuable or have the appearance of value. Because when you're solving a problem, you are already providing value and doing that thing for them. So what I see happen a lot of times with programs, with products, it doesn't matter if you're online or brick and mortar, this still works. I see too many people and too many visionaries who are like, okay, I can do this and I can do all that stuff. And you probably can. You're amazing at what you do. You know your business, you know your industry really well, but the customer gets overwhelmed. The customer can't digest the idea that they can go from A to Z or that you can take them from A to Z. You probably can. Sitting here right now today, I could take someone who has no business, has no skills, probably has no nothing, and I could either give them the skills and teach them all of those things, or I could give them business ideas that we could then turn into a business and then automate that business and then turn it into profit and then scale it and grow it. And right, like I can do all of those things. I have done that for my own businesses. I can do that for somebody else's business, but you can't take somebody off the street and convince them that you can solve all of their problems instantaneously. In the same way that you can't promise somebody that if they just take the little blue pill, they're going to lose 100 pounds in a week. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't happen. And in the same way that you probably can't or shouldn't propose to somebody or get married the same day that you meet them. There are steps to the process. There is relationship building, there is building trust, and there's affirming that trust. So when you have a product or a program or a service that you're trying to sell and you're guaranteeing way too much, or you're trying to sell too much, or the thing that you're selling and the solution that you're providing, if the leap is too big between where they're at and where you're going to take them or the promise that you're making, if that leap is too big, then they get confused or they get overwhelmed or they just don't believe that it's possible. So the more that you can hone in on the problem that you're solving, the more that you can get clear about the journey that you're taking them on, the more specific that you can be about the pain that they're feeling, the problem that they're solving, the desire that they have, and the single step or one or two steps that they can take to make that thing better or to improve it or to reduce the pain or to move towards pleasure, the better off your product is going to be positioned for people to want to buy it. It's not that your product or your program is bad or wrong or undesirable or not needed, because that's the feeling, right? Nobody's buying my thing, so of course there's something wrong with the thing. No, it's probably just your messaging, or it's probably just the transformation that you're promising. It's probably not the product itself, and it's definitely not you. You're gorgeous and smart, and you know exactly what people need, because if you've done this for a long time, you know all the things, you see all the trends. You've put in those 10,000 hours to understand your industry well enough that you see the cyclical nature of it. But people who have problems and are experiencing pain in their business, in their life, in their lifestyle, in their marriage, with their family, whatever it is that you're selling, because remember, we're only selling one of two things: moving away from pain or moving towards pleasure. That's it. That's all you're selling. I want to go buy a cupcake. I'm moving towards pleasure. I buy a business course. I'm moving a little bit of both, right? I'm moving away from pain because I want to solve that business problem, and I'm moving towards pleasure because I want to achieve that success. So everything that you sell, everything that you do, it only comes down to two things. You're either selling something to move people towards pleasure, or you're selling something to get them away from their pain. That's all. And when you can have the specificity of, here's the pain and we're going to take it away. Not we're going to walk 2 miles down the road, but we're going to take 1 or 2 steps. away from it. And then once you're away from it, once that brick wall is gone, it's off of your nose and you can actually see more clearly, then let's talk about the visionary stuff. Then let's get into other pieces. Then let's do the stuff that I know as the expert in my industry, this is what you need. Or if you're a brick and mortar, if you're providing services, if you're actually selling tangible products, what other products, what other things do you know that they're going to need? When somebody comes into a sporting goods store and they buy golf clubs, for instance, well, you don't just need golf clubs. You also need shoes, you need golf balls, you need gloves. You need those cute little stuffed animal things that stick on the bottom of the golf clubs. Maybe you need a golf cart. Maybe you need a golfing membership or a drive range membership. There are other pieces to it. Nobody ever just buys golf clubs. Same thing with any other industry. Do you buy just an iPhone or do you get the watch and the iPad and the MacBook and the this and the da-da-da-da-da? For your baby, do you buy just a crib or do you also buy the changing pad and the diapers and the wipes and the clothes and all of the other things? The babies need a million things. So you as the expert, you know that there's other steps, there's other pieces to it. You know that your customer, regardless of their desire for pleasure or desire to move away from pain, you know that there's other things that they're going to need. There's other pieces to it, but they're not ready to receive that information. They're not in a place where they can envision all the other parts of it. So what you need to do, and the reason that your product or program probably isn't selling, is that there's too much involved. You're trying to take them on a mile-long walk when they haven't taken 2 steps in years. You're trying to take them from A to Z when they just want to go from A to B. That's it. That's all they want. And let me tell you, that is value enough. When someone has enough pain or enough desire for pleasure, just providing that single step solution, that is enough value. It is. And I know it doesn't feel like it. I know the tendency is to load a product with extras and this and that, load a program with bonuses. Hey, buy this package full of extra stuff that I know you're going to need. And that's all fine. And again, in my programs, we talk about different tactics where that's applicable. But for this purpose, if you really want to know why your program or product isn't selling, it's probably because the transformation, the steps you're taking them towards, the thing that you're promising is too great of a leap and they can't process it. They can't see it. They can't see the vision. You just need to get them to the next step. And then once you can overcome that step, then they can see it. Then you can sell them on all those other transformations and all the things that you, as the amazing, incredible expert that you are, you know what needs to be done. But until they can see it, until that brick wall is off of their nose, they're never going to buy. But you as the expert, it is your job to get them to that next step, to lead them to water, so to speak, and to help break down the things that you know that they need into those smaller digestible chunks so that they're not overwhelmed, so that they can see the steps, so that they can begin to understand and kind of ingest that vision that you have for them, for their business or for their life or for their health or whatever it is that you're selling. And then once you get them over that first hump, then they see the vision. Then you have them indoctrinated. The action item for this episode, I want you to go back, go to your signature product or signature program, or even go to a product or program that is not selling very well right now and look at it from the one-step perspective. Look at it from the perspective of, if I'm my ideal audience, or maybe even find somebody who is your ideal customer for this program or product, and figure out what is that next step that they need to take. And does my service offering, my product or program align with that step and get them over that single hump? If it does, amazing. Then you probably just have a messaging problem. If it doesn't, and it doesn't align, then take a look at revamping that offer to make it more simple. And simple doesn't mean cheaper. It doesn't. The price is probably not the problem. Everybody thinks the price is the problem, and then we're all in a race to the bottom, and then don't even get me started. There's the next podcast episode idea. But you don't have to lower your price just because people aren't buying. The price isn't normally the problem. Think about the greatest pain or frustration that you have in your life right now, and how much money would you actually spend to get rid of that pain completely? I bet if it's painful enough, or it's hard enough, or frustrating enough, you'd pay a lot of money. You'd pay a whole lot of money to get rid of that problem. So the price isn't usually the issue. The problem is very often the leap between where they are now and the solution that you're promising or providing with your service, product, or program. So that's your action item. Take a look at them, figure out where you are, tighten things up, scale them back a little bit, and see how you can position your product, your service, or your program to get them over that one leap, that one hump, and then offer additional things. For my next segment, parenting tips you didn't ask for, I want to share something that we're going through right now with our son as parents that I think could possibly be beneficial for other parents out there. So our son is a very picky eater. He has probably a list of about 10 things he will actually eat. And that list can get smaller or bigger depending on the day, depending on his mood, where we are, stuff like that. And I always thought that he wasn't a very good eater. So I was really concerned as a mom that not only did he have a very limited list of the things that he would actually eat, but that I really wasn't seeing him eat very much of it. And then he would constantly ask for milk. Come to find out, this is all very normal toddler stuff. So anybody out there that's listening that's kind of in the same boat, obviously talk to your pediatrician, but this is very, 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 very normal toddler stuff. And there's probably nothing wrong with your child. Our pediatrician recommended a book called Helping Your Child with Extreme Picky Eating, a step-by-step guide for overcoming selective eating, food aversion, and feeding disorders. Now, I will say this book is a bit more than what I think we needed for our family. I think part of the problem is we have a sitter or a caregiver that comes most days, and so I don't see him eat. Part of the problem was the way in which we conduct ourselves as a family at mealtime. And this book dives into other things like neurodivergent people or having physical ailments where you can't actually physically feed yourself, or just other things like that. And it was a bit more than I think we needed, but it was a really, really, really good book to read through as a family and learn a couple of great mealtime tips. So one of the things that it says is that you have to have set meal times, and that your child has to stay at the table while they're eating. And when they walk away, food is done, right? Mealtime is mealtime, and you eat when it's time to eat. It also says that you can give them food if they specifically ask for it, but that we really never had good set specific meal times. And so that created a lack of trust in our son that he wasn't going to get fed when he needed to be fed, and that's not good. So creating an actual schedule for him has helped him so much, and now he's a really good eater, even just after a couple of days of implementing this. So I would highly recommend that book if you're like me and you're new to the parenting game, or you have a child who is a picky eater. It was a really, really good read. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Momentum Marketing Podcast. If listening to this has brought you value, improved your life, or given you any insight to help build your own momentum in your life or business, then please share it with a friend, and I'll see you on the next episode.